Hi, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Something Super Spiritual. We have our resident astrologer, Dena DeCastro, with us again today for another weather update.
That's right.
So much going on. There is so much going on right now.
Yes, there is. We tried to pare it down to like the top 3 things is what we're doing. So because, when you can just focus on the main things, it makes astrology a lot less confusing. Because it could be pretty overwhelming. It's a lot of information.
It can. Yeah, it absolutely can. Oh, thank you so much for being here, Dena. I haven't been on for a good month or so. I went to, we did our retreat in Sedona a few weeks ago, and
I heard that was amazing.
It was amazing.
Yeah.
It was transformative for everybody, including us, the facilitators. We left changed as well.
That's beautiful.
And it's amazing. It's amazing. And everybody here with us already. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for being back with us. I've missed you guys. I mean, it's been a month now, and I start to really miss the collective energy that we've built in this little community. So thank you all so much for being here.
Thank you for coming, everyone.
Dena, let's just get right into it because there's so much going on. There's been a lot of chatter amongst the spiritual channels, social medias, all that stuff with Uranus going into Gemini. Lots of talk about that. Lots of change. Lots of goodness, as but with the goodness can come the shadow. So we have to be prepared and aware. But let's talk about what it all means.
That's right. Well, it's a big deal. And this is the first of 3 things we're going to talk about today. We're looking at the summer and the big events. And so Uranus going into Gemini is the biggest event because Uranus takes about 7 years to go through each sign. So when it changes signs, that means that it's an extra big deal. And it just changed, went into Gemini on Monday. So we're just right at the beginning here. The other 2 things which we'll talk about today are the Saturn-Neptune conjunction that's peaking this month and on into the next several months. And then also the upcoming Mercury retrograde. As if there wasn't enough going on, Mercury is going to be retrograde in Leo coming up July 17th through August 11th. But let's just start with this Uranus and Gemini piece. So Uranus has been in Taurus, like I said, for about 7 years. And that's been about redefining our relationship with money, security, and our relationship to the material world. If you feel like you've been working through your money stuff for about 7 years, like really, having your whole paradigms around money and security tested and shaken up and invited to experiment with it. And it's just been going through a lot of change for people in terms of their relationship to security and the material. Ooh. Now, and that's not done yet. And I should say, even though Uranus has entered Gemini, it is going to dip back into Taurus November 7th of this year through April 26th of next year when it moves retrograde. So it's going to go back for a few months, but then it finally enters Gemini next April 26th, and it will be there through 2033. So that just an overview of the time frames. So Gemini is a whole different energy for Uranus to be in than Taurus. Very, very different. In fact, there's probably no 2 signs that are next to each other that are more different probably than Taurus and Gemini. Right.
Yeah.
Those are extremely Taurus, grounded, practical. It's about our relationship to money and security. Gemini is about the mental realm and our relationship to ideas and communication. So with Uranus and Gemini, first up, we're going to be invited to reinvent our relationship to communication on the personal level and the collective level. So I suspect that we'll all be looking at our own communication patterns, the way that we habitually communicate, because Uranus is the awakener. And whenever it goes into a sign, it's kind of waking us up out of our habits that are about the themes of that sign. In this case, communication, how you take in or perceive things. That's a Gemini theme. And with Uranus in that sign, it means we will also be asked to rethink how we look at things and to see things differently. We need to start turning things on their head so that we can see more clearly, paradoxically. So the habitual ways that we have viewed life, kind of the glasses that we all wear to look at life, that's all up for change. That's all up for reinvention. And it's time to start questioning your thoughts even more deeply. Like many of you probably have a mindfulness practice or a meditation practice or something where you go inside and reflect on how you look at things. But this is like, let's up it to the next level. No, really look at your thoughts, really see how they're shaping your reality, really question your own ways of looking at things
Your own
and
beliefs.
reinvent them. Right, exactly. So those people with, big Gemini placements in their chart or planets in Gemini are going to be more affected by this. I personally have my rising sign is early Gemini, so I'm feeling this, and I'll talk about that. And Uranus also is going to be conjunct or is conjunct my Venus and oppose my Mars. So I'm like getting right into it here. What I'm noticing is like I'm doing a lot of thought work, but I'm going back to things that I used to that helped me early on in my spiritual path. For example, I'm reading Wayne Dyer's work again, like with new eyes, because for me, he was an early teacher, in the early 90s, someone who influenced my ways of looking at things and thinking about things. I'm revisiting that and going, wow, in a way, this sounds like, quote, Bob Basic, like, don't I already know this? But no, like, are you really practicing it? No.
Yeah. Yep.
So you might find for yourself, like, who are those teachers? That is also a Gemini theme, teachers. Who are the teachers that can help you right now to reframe the way you're looking at your life and for the better so that you can experience a more truthful way of being in the world. What do you think, Jeff? How are you feeling this transit so far? I mean, I know it just started, but what do you think?
Yeah. There's been quite a few. Well, first of all, I've been going through a lot with this retreat, presenting that, coming out of it. It always takes me a good couple of weeks to get back into my body after doing that. But yes, there is. Oh, you know what? Sun Goddess, thank you so much for your donation. That is really awesome. Thank you for that. I really appreciate that. But yeah, there is a lot. I can feel the shift. I can feel the change. I can feel this sense of, I guess I want to call it like newness in the air, where there's this feeling of, it's a little bit more higher vibration, I think. And I think because, well, Taurus is actually an earth sign. So, we're really grounded. Taurus is really grounded, but then we're in the Gemini and that's all about the mind. So it's a little bit more airy, I guess is how I want to describe it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But there's a real sense of shift, even with regard to my own work. And, we were just talking about how Gemini is about communication and expression and that changing. And I do feel like there's a shift in my own, like what's coming in how I will be working, whether it's, with another show or other shows or rebranding my podcast and getting that restarted but a little bit different. You know what I mean? So there is a lot of that swirling around inside my mind that is very synchronistic to what is taking place. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. I feel like with Uranus being in these early degrees of Gemini, which it will be, for the next few months, this is a great time to brainstorm, to let all the ideas come in. Don't edit out anything right now. Just play with ideas, be experimental and write it all down, put it somewhere, put it in, if you don't write a lot, put it in your voice memo or whatever. But it's just good to let everything come in that wants to come in right now, because you're going to play with it and refine it later. Let this be a fun and playful time to look at all the possibilities of, those ideas that are coming in. I think it's going to be a very exciting time for podcasting. Like, who knows where that can go, next. It's already been exploding, over the past few years.
Yeah.
So, and you're right here in this, at the forefront in this medium. So, so that's, the big news with Uranus and Gemini. I'd say we always got to touch on the shadow. What's the shadow? Well, Gemini energy can be very scattered and all over the place. And Uranus being in Gemini can heighten that sense of getting overwhelmed by distractions, by conflicting information, by information that's not true. Like, Gemini as a sign doesn't have a real concern for what's true. It's just interested in a lot of information. And there's a beauty about that, but there's also a lack of discernment about that. So we'll all need to be careful, of like, just because it's on the internet, it's not true. Like, duh, right? Yeah. But that's going to become even more so, that we're getting a fire hose of information, and it might get difficult to weed out what's true, what's not true. Right.
That's a really great point. And I think that falls in line with what you were talking about earlier, how we really want to examine our own beliefs and really like look at them and, what is an illusion? What is our truth? What is our authentic true north with regard to what we believe? And that can be kind of scary for people, because our beliefs are, we identify with our beliefs, right? True. We express ourselves by our beliefs, and it can be scary for people for that to be challenged. But it's part of our awakening. It's part of remembering who we truly are. When we get to that place within, as we are in our awakening, we start to take responsibility and accountability for our own thoughts, words, actions, what we're putting out there, what we're putting in here, how we talk to ourselves. And those beliefs are a really big part in really truly understanding where they stem from, and is it an authentic truth? Right.
Right. And getting curious with yourself and asking yourself, like, what is really true for me? And it's, it's time to be curious. It's time to be open-minded, for sure, during this Uranus and Gemini time, but also to keep the critical thinking piece in play and really remember to think critically about the information that you're getting. So as I'll be noting in a little while, I have a resource that's going to be available to you, going deeper into all of these events that are happening this summer. It's a seasonal guide, and I'll give you that information in just a bit here. But just to know, what I say here is just a taste, and then you're going to get to go deeper in my materials and resources that are free for that. So the second thing that's up is this Saturn-Neptune conjunction in Aries. And so both Saturn and Neptune just entered Aries, a fire sign. We've been talking a lot about the magnification of fire and air, right? And that's what we mean is Gemini is an air sign. And here we have Saturn and Neptune newly in a fire sign. And so now there's this dominance of fire and air element. And those two elements play off of each other. They magnify each other. They feed each other. So this fiery presence of Saturn, Neptune, what is that about? It is, if I could boil it down, it's spiritual courage meets disciplined action. And Saturn's about structure and discipline, right?
Yep.
Neptune is very different in its meaning. It's about our connection to spirit, our connection to the divine, to the unconscious, to the dream world. It's more nebulous than Saturn. But when you bring those two things together, it's about making our vision and our connection with spirit more real and tangible through courageous action. That's the Aries piece. It's courageous action. right? What does that mean? I mean, for some people, it will look like activism towards something you feel called to take action on. Aries is a sign of warriorship, being a warrior or warrioress in the world to fight for what is important to you. So when you bring together the Saturn and Neptune in those signs, and that energy, by the way, is peaking this July and through the summer, but goes on until next spring. It's really about this combination of like, let's bring your ideals down to earth and take action on them now. Like you can apply that principle to a lot of areas in your life. You might be called to do political activism. You also might be called to create something that has only been an idea in your head for a long time, and now it's time to give birth to it, right? A book, you're writing a book, or you're, launching a new podcast, or you're launching a business, right? But the dreams that have been brewing, it is time now to take action, right? So very exciting, but also very like,
totally.
Like Aries, by definition, Aries is about the things that we're afraid of, but that kind of get our blood pumping. We want to go towards it, but it also makes us a little scared and a little excited at the same time.
It doesn't come without the fear. It absolutely does not. First of all, before I forget, Alexa, thank you so much for your donation. Thank you. Thank you. Wow, that's awesome. But yes, Dena, it does not come without the fear. And like when I started to follow this calling and doing what I've been doing now for about 6 years, I was terrified. I was terrified to speak up. I was terrified to put myself out there. I was afraid of the trolls and the haters. I was afraid of all of that, right? But how I knew on my insides that I was supposed to keep moving forward is that it scared me more to think about not doing it than it scared me to think about doing it. Yeah. So just an FYI for you guys, if you're wondering, how that feels or what that looks like on your insides, that's how it looked like for me. So just an FYI.
Yep. I would say the same for myself that, so I am working on a writing project, and my writing coach, Slade, who, has said, he says it's going to be either hard to do something or hard not to do something. And so you pick, and, when Saturn's involved, that's really true. Like it's going to be hard either way. So you might as well pick the road where you actually get something done, right? Rather than kind of just sit there and go, oh, it's too hard to do it. I'm not going to try, And I mean, I'm not belittling that feeling, because definitely I've been there, lots of times, and have chosen the path of like not doing the thing. Yeah. But now we're all going to feel somewhat pressured to choose to take that step forward. So that's big. And, when we do the sample readings, so we look at your chart too, Jeff, that, we'll see where is that placed in the chart, that Saturn Neptune conjunction, to get more feedback on that. Yeah. And then finally, the Mercury retrograde that's coming up is in Leo. And we're already in what's called the pre-shadow. So the pre-shadow just means the time where it's already moved past the point where it goes retrograde back to. That began on June 30th. Mercury retrograde begins July 17th and goes through August 11th, with a post-shadow through the 25th of August. And it's all in Leo this time. So you are a Leo, Jeff. So we're in the pre-shadow. Any signs from Leoville of what this might be about?
I mean, and it falls in line with, the synchronicities of Uranus going into Gemini, all of this happening at the same time, right? Because I have been in a place of just like re-evaluating what I'm doing and how I'm doing it and how I'm communicating and reevaluating and rethinking what I want to put out there. And I want to review everything. I want to refine everything. And that might come in, it might look like a rebrand, you know?
Yeah.
Somebody, Sun Goddess, thank you so much. You know, that actually, this is synchronicity too. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. That's very helpful for me. So I really appreciate you saying that. But that falls in line with exactly what we're talking about. You know, here come these little validations about these thoughts that are pinging on the inside of ourselves. Should I or shouldn't I? What am I doing? And, you know, should I go here? Should I go there? And then all these little things just like pop up, giving you these confirmations. So, but yeah, I absolutely feel the shifts.
I think, yes. And I think during any Mercury retrograde, it is good to look for the signs, the synchronicities, the omens, that those are more pronounced during Mercury retrograde periods. And, you know, a lot of people have a negative association with Mercury retrograde. And I always dissuade people of that and say, it's a magical time too. Things slow down a little bit and you can see the magic of life a little more clearly during Mercury retrograde. But you have to slow down. You have to notice. You have to pay attention.
You absolutely do. Yeah, you've got to take a step back and really take a deep breath. You know, I want to say, Kathy, thank you for this comment. That's funny. Kathy understands the fear. She broke free of that, did a card reading in the middle of a restaurant for a friend, and no one tarred and feathered her.
That's really great. Didn't get burned as a witch that day. It's a win, right? Yeah. I mean, that's great. It's just little thing. And that's not even a little thing. That could be really big for you because there's a fear that you are breaking through. Right. And with this Mercury retrograde being in Leo, this is also going to be about visibility. Leo has to do with stepping into the spotlight and being more visible. So the fact that it's Mercury retrograde is saying, take a look at what is blocking you from being more visible and taking up more space even, which is a very Leo idea, right? So it sounds like you're working through some of that in your own life, Jeff. You know, you're already, and this is just like a preview of coming attractions for the retrograde. Yeah.
Always. Yeah. Yes.
Yep. And for me, I think that I know, like, I plan my creative process around Mercury retrogrades often. And so I know that will be a good time during the retrograde to go back over things that I've written and to review and to edit and to rethink, you know, maybe I have to change this character or a story piece of a storyline or something. And it's like, take a step back, look at the whole picture. That's the message of it. But it will have to do more because of the Leo presence with creative endeavors and with being visible, expressing yourself in public. And so, I think it's going to be a very potent time. Yeah, exactly. How you're showing up. Mm-hmm. How you're showing up. Do you want to take a quick look at your chart, Jeff?
Yeah.
And we'll do that and then go on to some other readings. But before we do that, and so I want to quickly say for people that you can go to denadecastro.com/season to get a free seasonal guide, and it will be updated every season like this. So we're doing this talk near the beginning of summer, but there's still plenty of this information in this summer guide left for you to get value out of. And so when you subscribe, it'll just ask you for your email address, and you should opt into my email list if you want to get these continued updates for signing up for my guide and other forecast events that are coming up.
Highly recommend it, you guys. Dena's information is truly, it's so helpful because it's so practical. It's not so far out there that you don't understand what it is that you're reading. And that has been my experience with astrology in the past, where I didn't understand what was coming at me, right? But Dena's information is very helpful, and it's very practical and pragmatic, and it's easy to start to pay attention and have a little bit more awareness of what your own chart, your own blueprint means for you. And you'll start to recognize these patterns that you've had throughout life. And you're like, you can correspond those patterns and behaviors to the archetypes that land within the signs, that land within the signs of the planets. So yeah, it's truly incredible. So highly recommend that, you guys.
Thank you, Jeff. I appreciate that. Okay, so I'm going to do a share screen of your chart. Where is it? Oh, here we go. Okay. And here we go. Great.
Okay, so that's me, you guys.
That's you. So that's you. And what I'm going to do actually is I'm going to do a bi-wheel, transit bi-wheel. There we go. Okay. So we see that. So this says what the transits are right now. And so we don't want to get too confusing with it, but I'll just say, this right here is your Sun and Mars in Leo, right? That I'm pointing to. And Mercury is right here. It's getting ready to kind of, I say it's going to go up to and kiss your Mars and then go back, to go retrograde. So what that means for you is that your Mars and your Sun are going to be most affected around the time of the actual retrograde, which is July 17th. But that's coming right up. I mean, we're in the zone already. So let's say these next couple of weeks for you is that the most heightened effect of this Mercury retrograde. And what it does have to do, being for you in the 10th house, is about visibility, career matters, putting yourself out there, taking action on career matters, and tapping into the Mars part of yourself. And you have in your birth chart, you have a Mars-Sun conjunction. Yeah. So the warrior energy is very alive in you, like naturally, it's part of your makeup. And this Mars or Mercury retrograde that's coming up and stationing very close to your Mars is asking you to think about what you want to fight for and where you want to put your energy most. And it may be time to rethink some of those things, because Mercury retrograde is always saying it might be time to rethink some things. It might be time to reconsider and realign where you're putting your passion, your drive, your energy. Because when you get focused on something, there's no stopping you because of your Sun-Mars conjunction, both of those being in Leo, both of those being in what we call a fixed sign, which is Leo is a fixed sign, means you're determined. You can get very focused like a laser beam when you want to, but it has to be aligned with your passion and for it to work, right? So yeah.
I want to say quickly, just you guys, just pay attention to this. Do you see the synchronicities that are lining up? I was talking about feeling a sense of shift, that I needed to rethink the way that I'm doing my shows and maybe rebranding my podcast, the way that I'm putting myself out there, right? Communicating. And it has to do with my work, has to do with how I'm showing up and being in service. And Dena just basically repeated that with regard to what's happening synchronistically in my chart. So it's very helpful.
Yeah. It goes back to that idea of permission we were talking about before we hopped on today, the idea of giving permission slips to people. And so Jeff, I'm going to give you permission to take a step back during the Mercury retrograde period and kind of take an overview of your career, especially, and don't push forward on anything too hard during that retrograde period. It's just a time to step back and consider how, what foot do you want to put forward next, and where do you want to put that foot on the path? Does that make sense?
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
Yeah. So that's like a taste of like what we can do with astrology here. Just knowing Mercury retrograde and where it is and how important, it's very important in your chart, particularly right now, Jeff. So.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. So, you know what I want to say, Dena, Anne just made a little comment here. She says, you provided me a wonderful introduction into astrology 18 years ago. You're a great teacher. Wow. Thank you. And
oh my goodness.
I just wanted to point that out because she's right. I mean, you're an incredible teacher.
Thank you so much, Anne. I really, really appreciate that. That's beautiful. 18 years. Gosh.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
So all right, you guys, let's get started with the little mini reads for everybody.
Yeah.
And I think you guys, I got like 35 of you responded, and I think that's so awesome. Thank you for being here and being part of this.
Yeah.
All this information, it's, it just builds upon it. Just each time just builds a little bit more, and expands our own awareness of spirit and ourselves individually and collectively, and recognizing how the two are so much intertwined, and it's, we're so better together. And I love having you guys here. So thank you. All right, Dena.
Yeah. All right. Well, okay, let's just pick a name out of the virtual hat. Is really, I'm just going to pick randomly because there was so many, and we can only really fit in for maybe 5 today. But do you want to pick? Do you want me to pick, or do you want to pick? I could.
I don't have the list here, so it's all about you and spirit. You guys, I'm going to post the link into the comments for you to join us on screen. That way we can talk to you live rather than wait for comments to come through. You know how that can take some time. So if you don't want to be on your camera, that's totally okay, just as long as we can hear you. So I'm going to put the link to come on screen in the background with us. And then as Dena calls your name, please pop in with us. Okay,
here we go. Let's start with Kaylee. Kaylee Jerry, and I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing your name. It could be Callie or Kaylee Jerry.
That's right. Kaylee. Hi, Kaylee. She's in here too. I saw her a little bit ago.
Yay. That's great.
There she is. Kaylee, you wanna pop in the link that I gave you?
I'm going to go ahead and share the screen.
Oh, she can't. She's okay. So just be at the keyboard ready, please.
Okay. It's all good. So, and we've done it this way before. It's totally fine. Okay. So hi, Kaylee. How are you doing? So I'm going to look at a couple of things. I'm going to look at the fact that you have transiting Uranus, which has just entered Gemini, right about to enter a new house for you. It's going to enter your 7th house in this coming year. It will not actually be until the spring, but it's gearing up to this entry into your 7th house of partnership. And this is a powerful point in the chart, which is the 7th house cusp, sometimes called the descendant. So let's just say Uranus, having just entered Gemini, is already conjunct your descendant. And what that means is that your relationship life is about to undergo some changes. Now, I don't know if you're married, single, coupled up, whatever. It doesn't, have to be a scary thing of like, oh no, my marriage is going to go through some trouble. It means that it's with any long-term relationship that you're in or committed relationship, it's time to reinvent things and to bring a breath of fresh air into those relationships. And that often the relationship can go stronger when you open up to doing that, to shaking up the old patterns. It's also time to look at reinventing your communication between you and your closest relationships. This does not only mean romantic partnership, it also means your closest friendships, your closest one-to-one relationships. That's the 7th house and the 7th house cusp. So another thing it can mean if you're not currently in a relationship is meeting new people, meeting a new person, having new people come in. But again, it doesn't have to just be romantically. It means like fresh, new energy coming into your life through the house of close relationships, new friends showing up, new kinds of people in your life. And so just open the door to that and to shaking up old relationship patterns. Yeah. Wherever Uranus goes, it's about freeing up things and liberating us from the past. So that can feel a little bit, scary sometimes if you're in a relationship, like, oh, I don't know, if I'm ready for this change. But also you can prepare yourself and welcome it too. The one other thing I'll mention, as far as the Saturn Neptune conjunction for you, it's in your 4th house of home and family. So it also looks like You're needing to take some grounded action there to fight for what's important to you in a positive way, meaning you may have to set some boundaries with certain family members. You might have to, take action on things that have just been lingering in the background and ideas you've been having regarding certain family relationships. It's time now to kind of stake your claim and set things into motion. So those are the two biggest things I notice in your chart, Kaylee. Do you have any questions?
Kaylee, well, if you're typing anything, I just want to say too that there's this feeling too that prior to hearing what Dena was saying, I was feeling like there's a big shift happening within your world with regard to your tribe. And I also feel like there's a sense of like a real sense of acceptance that you are coming to terms with within yourself. So, transparency, Kaylee was with us in Sedona, and she experienced some major transformations happening. And Kaylee, I just want to encourage you to remember that, because it feels to me like you're bouncing in between like a place of confusion to a place of recognizing the truth in who you are, the gifts that you hold, and really moving forward with acceptance and confidence in those gifts. And it feels to me like, I love that Dena was talking about the relationships, because with regard to this feeling of all new tribe with you, it's like that is what will propel you even further within, with regard to your own acceptance, owning who you are and what you are and why you're here. No matter how that looks, Kaylee is so tuned in to spirit. She can do the light language, and it's truly incredible. But yeah, I just wanted to remind you that the confusion, bouncing in and out of that, the acceptance, that we all go through that, and it's totally normal. And I just wanted to remind you that, you're on the right path. You are with the right tribe, and just keep going, keep going, keep going. Here, you know what? I got this to keep going, keep going, keep going.
I love it. Awesome. Okay. So let's, and thank you, Kaylee, for volunteering your chart there. I'll pick another name from the hat here. Let's do Evan, if Evan's around.
Evan's here.
Let's see. Let me pull up that chart. Evan Anderson, right?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So transit by
this
wheel.
Was not planned. This is Dena chose all of these on her own. Just so you guys know, this is spirit at work.
I'm sharing the screen. I'm going to share.
Right,
okay, here we go. All right, Evan. So we've got, you've got that Gemini is in your first house, and it's about to conjunct all of your Gemini planets, but not yet. Not yet. We're not there yet. Just to tell you that these next 7 years of your life are going to be a very interesting and fun roller coaster ride. It's like, and that could be good news to a Gemini type person like you. You have natal Sun, Mercury, and Jupiter in Gemini. So Uranus entering Gemini is very important for you. It means that you're about to go through a time of reinvention, liberation, freedom, excitement, big changes. But what it requires of you is really stepping into this Gemini first house part of yourself. And the first house is it's called the house of self. It's about putting yourself first and really taking the reins of your life and taking action on what you want. So that would be like, I could give you, almost like a 7-year forecast in a sense of this is coming attractions of this next 7 years in a sense. But more than that, Uranus also is just in your first house, highlighting this idea of the need to reinvent yourself, to take the reins toward and steer your life towards what you are truly passionate about, and to really claim your desires. The desires is a first house idea. Then, as we look around to where is that Neptune Saturn conjunction, for you, it's in the 11th house, which is the house of community and tribe. This is also where a lot of new beginnings are happening for you, in that realm of tribe and community, new connections coming in. You'll find yourself lining up with the quote, the right people right now to go in the direction that you want to go next. And this 11th house area for you, also where you in recent years had your Saturn return, is about planning for the longer term and for the far future. So if you've been kind of having a vision of what you want this next chapter of your life to be, post second Saturn return, now is the time to really take action on a lot of the dreams that have been coming in over the past couple of years. So right now is a good time to reflect on the past couple of years since your Saturn return, and to say, okay, what have I been daydreaming about that I want for my future? Now is the time to take the steps and take action on those dreams. So, Evan and Jeff, thoughts, questions?
Oh, well, I'll just say, I can't read, Evan, but I did pull a card. Okay. I did pull a card and it's the dreams card. So you were just wrapping that up so beautifully with regard to paying attention to those dreams and those daydreams that have been happening over the last few years. I think that is absolutely brilliant advice. I know that he's been going through some of these big changes and shifts and feeling the shifts and not quite sure what to do with them or where to go with them. But yeah, it's one thing that just popped into my head is I know you do your meditation practice on the regular, but I also was just nudged to remind you to keep your energy clear and grounded through this period too, because with all of that Gemini in your first house and these big transits, grounding is really going to be extremely important.
Right. As you say that, I'm noticing that Evan has 3 planets in Virgo. So that can be really helpful for grounding. He can tap into that part of himself. I'd say doing something hands-on that's also creative, like a creative hobby, can be very grounding for you, Evan. So like when you feel too Gemini'd out, you're just like out in the ethers, time to bring it down to like, I don't know, what is some kind of a craft or hobby that keeps you grounded. That'll be a good place to focus. All right. Let's do the next one.
All right.
Let's see here. I'm gonna stop.
I'm putting the link back in the comments, you guys, for whoever's drawn next.
Okay. So let's do, and charts, sorry.
Hug a dog, very grounding. Yes, Vicky.
Okay. How about Nancy Turner Singh?
Nancy. Oh, Nancy. Nancy, are you here? I haven't seen you in the chats.
If she's not,
has anybody seen Nancy?
Maybe that's a no.
Oh, hi, Bobby. I didn't see Bobby was here. It's nice to see you. If Nancy, oh, there she is. Sun guy. So Nancy, if you can click on that link and come back screen so that we can chat with you. If you can't, that's fine. Just be at the keyboard ready.
Okay, I'm going to share the screen. Present.
Okay.
Hold. Okay, here we go.
All right.
All right, Nancy. Hi, Nancy. So I'm looking at in your chart, where is this Uranus in Gemini, and what is it aspecting in your particular chart? This Uranus is just entered Gemini in your third house of communication. So it's in the sign of communication, in your house of communication, your personal house of communication. So really the rethinking and reframing and reconsidering what you believe is very much up for you, more strongly than most people right now. And it's also a great time to step more into your authentic voice, to use your voice in new ways, to experiment with how you get your ideas out to people. And when I say voice, that means that's metaphorically and actually. So it may be that you speak in front of people, but it also may be that you write or you teach or you, there's something that you want to say. And now is the time to play with new ideas about how to get your ideas out there, to be redundant. At the same time that Uranus, transiting Uranus, is making a trine to your natal Mars in Aquarius. And so it's kind of charging up this restlessness in you and this need to take action. That's going to be happening, that particular transit, over the next year and a half or so. So this is a window of time in which you'll feel more energized to take action on your ideas and to go for it in terms of, again, your plans for the far future. Then let's look at that Saturn Neptune conjunction for you. This is transiting in your first house, again, like Evan, the house of self. And so this is about taking the reins of your life regarding your sense of calling, your sense of, we call it like your sense of mission and purpose. And it's time to take the big step forward, or even the baby step, but to take a step toward what you've been feeling called to do, particularly over the last, again, this 2-year period where Saturn has been in Neptune, kind of dreaming, helping you to dream a vision for the life that you want to live. The time for action is coming now. For you specifically, though, it will involve getting even more clear and disciplined about your spiritual practice and getting a structure around that. So if you have a meditation practice or a yoga practice or whatever it is for you that helps you to feel connected, it's time to get serious and regular about that, not to put too much pressure, but that's only going to help you, get what you want in life. So do you have any questions on any of that?
Would this be a good time in this next year and a half or so to make a move?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So I'm seeing, and that's on a completely unrelated note with the transits that we've been talking about. Jupiter has just entered Cancer, and it's in your personal 4th house, which is a great time to make a move, particularly over about the next month. if you could swing it. What was that?
That's too fast.
I was going to say that's probably too fast. But honestly, the whole time that Jupiter's in Cancer is a good time for making a move. And even I think there's a window of time for you next spring, but I'd have to look further in the chart where Jupiter will re-enter your 4th house in the early part of next year to the spring. So that's something that if you wanted to book a reading, it would be good to take more time to look at that. But yes, just in general, it looks like favorable periods are up for you regarding a move. And, finally, Jupiter will make what's called a Jupiter return for you next late spring to early summer. And that is just a good luck and opportunity time overall. So I'm feeling, if you're going to make a move, it might likely be in the spring to summer of next year. That would be a supportive time to do that. Does that make sense?
Yes, thank you.
Great. Jeff, any thoughts?
It's so awesome. So Nancy was with us in Sedona as well. And I'd say I'm going to go back to the synchronicity within these charts, within our natal charts and the transit charts. We're going to talk about the synchronicities over and over because you can't make this up. And what Nancy and we talked about how many times in Sedona, Dena just literally rephrased it because it's landing in your chart and you're sensing it intuitively. And I just think that's just brilliant. It's just so much fun to recognize and witness all of this and to see it within you as you open up and your consciousness expands and you start to recognize the truth in who you are and you're feeling it. And I know it's a little bit scary, but you know, you're making your way and you're here. And I think it's awesome. And even, you know, with regard to your move. So when you popped on the screen, I immediately saw orange around you. And when I see orange, I know that there is a potential for a move. It's a move within with your home or a change in how you are earning your income. But for you specifically, it's with your home. And interestingly, the card that came up for you is change. And look at all that orange in there. So just know that this is like, there's so much support in all of this for you right now. And I just love that you intuitively already sense that. It's why you ask the questions and it's why you're here. So brava, darling. I'm so happy to see you.
Thank you so much.
It's nice to meet you, Nancy.
Nice
Thanks
to meet
for
you
sharing
too,
your
Dena.
chart. Yeah.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you. All right. And then one more. Let's try. Yeah. Let's do that. Let's say, great. Go to charts. And why I look spaced out for a second, I'm looking at things here. How about Debbie Deal?
Debbie Deal. Is Debbie Deal here? I don't think I saw her in the chat.
We can pull another.
Oh, there's Debbie Deal. Hey, Debbie. Great. All right, I'm putting the link in the comments for you, so you can pop on the screen with us if you'd like.
Good. I'm gonna go ahead and share.
So yeah, grab her chart.
There we go.
Oh, here's Debbie. All right, here we go. Hi there.
Hey, Debbie. How you doing?
Good.
Good. Nice to see you. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to look at is what is happening with Uranus and Gemini for you. And you are coming up on a very important transit in this next year. Really kind of beginning now-ish, but more in play in 2026. And this is what's called the Uranus opposition. This is what's often known as the midlife crisis transit, but it doesn't have to be a crisis, is what I always say, if you do the inner work to prepare for it. It happens for everybody in their early 40s. So just so you know, you're not alone. You know, everybody in your age group is going through it. But what's important for you is that, you know, this is happening for you. The Uranus is in your house of spiritual connection and spirituality as this is happening. So in other words, the kind of the midlife awakening that you're having right now is revolving around your spiritual practice and your connection with spirit specifically. Okay. Because Uranus has just entered Gemini in that house for you, it means you are to experiment now with new ways of communication with spirit and to practice some new things. Get very brainstorm on it. You know, think about new ways to do it. Be playful with it. Be curious. Take a light approach to your connection with spirit. And to receive that information right now can be very easy and very quick to receive guidance in that way. So why I'm saying all of that is, you know, that it's the fact that it's in the 12th house, which is the house of the unconscious and the dream world. And again, connection with spirit. So this is what's being awakened in you very much right now. And the other piece that's very interesting in this chart is the transiting Saturn and Neptune conjunction for you. It's in your 11th house. We're seeing a lot of that with people. The 11th house lit up by this. This is the house of community, tribe, and networks of people. And again, this is where some new beginnings are happening for you and where you're feeling called to connect with new groups of like-minded people so that they can support you in the direction that you want to go. This may ask you to step out of your comfort zone a little bit. I see in your natal chart, you've got a lot of Sagittarius energy, which is actually, quite adventurous. Like you have a very adventurous and free spirit in many ways. But then I also see that you have a lot of Virgo planets that are square to that. And it's not that one is good and one is bad. It's just that there can sometimes be an inner conflict with you with the Virgo Sag connection that the Virgo planets are more reserved and careful and cautious, right? And so there might be two voices inside of you often kind of going, do I go this way and be completely radical adventurer, or do I go this way and just be more careful and cautious, right? And safe, right? That's Virgo's concern, is like to keep things very orderly, which isn't a bad quality. And in you, those things might balance each other out quite nicely when you learn to work with both those aspects of yourself. But that part of your chart, this particularly this Uranus opposition that's happening right now, which is also making a connection to your natal Mars, is asking you to carefully navigate the balance in yourself between the adventurer and let's call it the careful servant, who wants to always be doing the practical thing. And there's time for practical, and there's a time to just step like off the cliff and go, okay, I'm just going to trust that things will be okay. But you're navigating some of those big choices right now for yourself. So trust, though, comes back to that initial thing that I said about your spiritual practice being about receiving communication in new ways and listening. So do you have any questions or thoughts? And I'll open it up to Jeff as well.
Do you understand all that, Debbie?
Yeah, I get it. No, I'm laughing because calling out my Virgo aspect, I always blame it this and my Virgo moon, and I'm like, oh, moon, go away.
Now we shouldn't belittle the Virgo moon. I mean, I know and love people with Virgo moons, and I think the benefit of that is that you do keep your feet on the ground, and you have a gift for organizing things in your life and for making them beautiful, and you can tap into that. You're like, no, I don't. You really can. I think Moon and Virgo too, there's that calling to be of service or of practical use in the world. And that's something to nurture, and to know that the more you align with that purpose of just being of service, and then asking for the communication to come in about how, the easier it gets. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Debbie, you're a healer. There's rainbow all around you. So when I see rainbow, that for some reason is my symbol for Reiki. And I don't know if Reiki has been crossed your mind, or if it's been in your field and you've been processing it and wondering about it. I just feel like I need to just poke you a little bit and say, go for it. Go for it. Do it. Do you understand that?
Yeah. Yes, I do. Yeah, I've been attuned to Reiki, and I don't practice enough at all.
Oh, okay. So this is just Spirit's little nudge, just, to bring that back in, because the Reiki will absolutely help you through these seemingly, confusing and times that we'll go through. Any of us that are going through that, the midlife, as we would term it, it's, it can be scary, and we feel these changes, but we've had these patterns that we've held on to for the 40 years. And suddenly we start to be hit with like, okay, so that which is no longer serving me, it's time to go. It's time to really be truthful and honest and look in the mirror and recognize what isn't working. and that Reiki will also help soften all of that and help flush that and wash that away. So just a reminder for you. And I also feel like too, there is like the word patience just popped into my head, and I just feel like I want to remind you that patience is a virtue. You know, I mean, patience I just feel like, do you understand me needing to remind you of patience?
Yeah.
Okay. So, take a deep breath and just know, and like Dena said, you know, that I love that trust, absolutely trust. I love that Uranus is going into your 12th house, because that's, you know, I see that house as the house of spirituality and the unseen world. You have that connection. You are definitely dialed in. And the more you work with yourself and the more that you start to remember who you truly are, these spiritual senses, the clairvoyance, clairaudience, all that stuff just starts to come online for you in a way that is just so natural for all of us. But that's, I can see that this is what's happening with you right now too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow. No, that was really incredible. Yeah, I think of things to say like 10 minutes later, but thank you guys so much. No, like I have been trying, it's this weird thing. I've been trying to develop, you know, my spiritual gifts, because it's like I know they're there, but they're hard to reach. And then, you know, Jeffrey listening to your podcast and all this stuff, and it's like, oh, Reiki, that's the way. And so I got attuned to Reiki, and then like, I don't know why I don't know, I've been too shy or too like afraid to go out and do the things. So I don't know.
Oh yeah, no, yeah. I understand that. I understand that completely. You know, the great late Mavis Patilla, an incredible, one of the best mediums on the planet. She passed a couple years ago. She was in England. She one of the things I remember her saying to a good friend of mine who was very shy, painstakingly shy. She told him, she said, you know, you might be shy, but your soul is not. So the soul is who we truly are. And this aspect of ourselves, this life, this illusion, this ego, you know, I understand shyness. I've been shy my entire life. But when I heard her say that, it was like, it was her way of giving us a permission slip to just like really step into that strength and that trust and that faith within ourselves and spirit and all of that. It's because honestly, if you could literally see with your eyes the amount of support we have around us in guides and guardians and loved ones, oh, we wouldn't be afraid to do anything.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
So, yeah, just an FYI. Just a reminder. I know you know that. I know we all know that. And sometimes we just need to hear it again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So
well, thank you, Debbie.
Yeah. Thank you, Debbie. I appreciate your sharing your chart with us. And just keep trusting the information that's coming in and keep an open mind and be curious. That's the Uranus and Gemini message. So, yeah.
Thank you so much.
You're so welcome.
You. Well, Dena.
All right.
That was fabulous.
Thank you. It was really fun to do those readings for everyone. And wow, it's funny to see the patterns emerging. And like you said, synchronicity at play and how some things were repeating messages that maybe all of us need to hear. And that's another thing to remember is that, I mean, even though those were individual readings, a lot of what I'm saying, people can apply to their own charts out there. If you know a little bit about houses in your natal chart, and on the resource that is available to you, my free seasonal guide, you can find it denadecastro.com/season. Within that, there's links to all those blog posts. And in many of the posts that I have about these transits, you can look up what house, like if you know the house that it's in for you, let's say Mercury retrograde, Jeff, is in your 10th and 9th houses. And there's an interpretation of that for you in there. So you can go deeper with this and apply it to your own chart.
Awesome. Yeah. And you know what, Chris? Thank you, Chris. So Chris must have just went to get your, oops, there we go. She must have went to get your summer 25 resource. So,
oh, that's so great.
yeah,
Thank you so
for
much, Chris. Yeah, I really appreciate that. That's awesome. You're generous.
I think yeah, it's already 10 after 12. So, all right, you guys, we'll wrap this up so we can carry on with the rest of our day. And listen, you guys, I'm so happy to be back with you again in this format. Dena, I'm so happy to be back with you. I love what we've been doing this year. You know, every 3 months we get together and we have these little talks about the astrological weather. And it's fun.
I'm so grateful we're doing this, and thank you for having me here. I love working with your audience, and we're going to be doing it again in October, right? Coming up. And we'll be talking about Pisces themes, because guess what? Things are moving back into Pisces. So anybody out there who's a Pisces or has Pisces in your chart, you'll be sure to be showing up.
So we'll have more information on that. Those of you, well, I think all of you are on the either my list or Dena's list. So you'll know when that is and what the topics are. We'll do more readings for everybody. So
yeah.
But yeah, thank you so much for being here, everybody. Dena, I just love you to smithereens.
I love you too, Jeff. Thank you for having me.
All right, everybody, have a wonderful rest of your week. We'll talk soon.
Bye-bye.